Hey, welcome everyone to Mrs. Outlook. We got Raymond Lyons here, Cardo Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarpley Jr., Washington Mystics. We've been talking about all week how big these games are. We saw them finally get their lick back against the Los Angeles Sparks. We know the Sparks have had great success against them through two games this year. This one went a little bit differently. That said, Washington beat the Sparks 95-86. Ray, we'll start with you and then Cardell. Just want to get y'all's thoughts on we know the things that didn't go well the last time they played the Sparks, and then the things that you felt they did well tonight that got them over the hump.
Yeah, man. Like you said, that's a big time win against a team that has been giving them issues every time they played this season. Two things that stick out to me is how they handled the inevitable scoring drought in the third quarter. Usually, that's when we see the game get away from them. But they were stuck on 6 and 7 for a minute, but they never allowed the Sparks to get closer to 8 during that time. And then Sonya finally broke the ice, and they were able to get their bearings back and remain in control of the game. I thought that was huge. I felt like after they weathered that storm, they were in good shape. Even though it got a little interesting towards the end, their interior defense was just kind of non-existent, to be honest, for a stretch. But they were able to continue to score and keep their composure. You know, the Sparks did damage at the basket, but other than that, I think the Mystics defense was pretty sound for the most part. The Sparks big three, they went to work as they've done in the previous matchups, but they Mystics gave themselves enough of a cushion for when Kelsey finally started getting going. You know, the Sparks found themselves trying to fight their way back into the game. And we've seen the Mystics on that side of it in a lot of games as well. They fall behind, and then we see the surge just to try to get back to even. So a good win, man, a good win. They started fast, which is always good for them. They didn't have one of those disastrous quarters that we see that kind of ends the game for them most nights. Man, Sonya, the way she started to just pick defenses apart. Really, it looks like the game is slowing down for her. She's picking her spots beautifully, and it looks easy for her to score right now. Kiki, double tonight. She was amazing. Alicia Clark, good veteran presence for them. 7.7 rebounds, 6 assists, sniffing a triple double. I gave them good minutes off the bench. Just a total team effort. Shug Sutton as well, 8.7 assists. Of course, the 4 turnovers, which I think they went into prevent offense a little early. Just they were trying to use the clock, but at that point in the game, they should have just been still, going through their progressions and playing basketball. And it almost came back to bite them, but yeah, they were able to hold on and get the win. So yeah, man, they're able to keep their playoff folks alive. Like you said, Wilson, this stretch of games is super important. Hopefully, they can keep that positive momentum going.
Yeah, for me, a number of things. One, they won a rebound battle. They won a rebound battle 35-30, which is 35-15, which is huge. They control the boards, and also limited their possessions. You know what I mean? Also, the assists, 30 assists on 35 made field goals, it created a balance that made them hard to guard. It wasn't just like you can key in on certain players, kind of slow them down, and it would disrupt their offense. That's why they shot the ball so well. They shot 59% from the field, 55% from deep, and 77% from the line. They were clicking all night long. On top of controlling the boards, and then you moving the ball. Like, hey, man, ball movement kills any defense. It's just hard to key in on everybody. You normally just try to take a couple players out the fray on the best or most lethal threats out there on the floor, but that wasn't the case tonight. And then let's keep it a buck. The youngest stepped up. They finally showed up. Like we can do all the extra stuff, nitpicking certain stats and all that about why the Mystics won. They won because Sonya and Kiki, they showed up against Hamby and and Rakia, who let's be honest, gave it to him the first 2 games. I don't think people understand how wide the gap was between that pairing. Coming into this game, Hamby was averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 assists on 60% shooting from the field, and 40% shooting from deep against the Mystics over their first 2 games. Jackson was averaging 22 points on 53% shooting and 40% from deep, over those 2 games. But on the other side with the Mystics, Citron was averaging 7.5 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 2.5 steals on 31% shooting. And Kiki was averaging 14.5 points, 6 rebounds on 47% shooting over the first 2 games. They needed them to step up. You can't have them to Rakia and De'Erica just dominating like that, and then your numbers be so anemic. You know what I mean? Like, look, they kind of duplicated what they did before for the most part. Rakia a few points less. De'Erica woke up after the first quarter, but the difference was Sonya showed up. She finally won her matchup with Rakia and Kiki, double, 18 to 10. Sonya at 24 and 3, 9 to 16, 5 or 6 from deep. That was the difference in the game. And think about it, they only won by 9. So what if they had duplicated the same production they had over the last 2 games against the Sparks? It would have been the same result. So it's really those two as rookies, growing up. Let's just call it what it is. They growing up. You know what I mean? And pretty much let it be known, like, yeah, we ain't going nowhere. We gonna be here. So looks like we just gonna be rumbling for the rest of our careers. And you need that from 2 rookies that's trying to learn how not just to win in the league, but lead a franchise. And you got to answer the bell when you're challenged like this, and you let's be real, you get your ass handed to you over a couple games, you got to answer that bell, especially being in a playoff race or whatnot, with a team that you got to win against. You know what I mean? To stay pace. And with that being said, with the Sparks still having that 2-1 edge, I know the Mystics just won. They tied them. They still in 10th, even though they got the tiebreaker because they got the tiebreaker. So you got to continue to win, man. But this was a good showing, man, because could have went the other way. That's what we've been seeing. So I love the fact that they answered the bell and showed some toughness and just, let it be known like it ain't going to go the way you think, like it's been going the last 2 games, man.
Yeah, to your point with those 2 with their performance, we saw Hamby come out in the 3rd quarter and really get active, and we saw her get going. And you already mentioned the numbers that she's been averaging in this series, in this season series. They kept her in check in that first half, and she and the Sparks, but she got out to a hot start, jumped out on the Mystics in the 3rd quarter, and then you saw Washington fight back. And what happened was legit. Going back to that 2-on-2, that matchup between those 2. Sonya started matching Hamby's buckets. Hers came in a different fashion, but she started answering. Bucket for bucket there for a little bit. Your team already had the lead, and like you said, they won by 9. But say she doesn't get going, and then the other thing we saw, Kiki had De'Erica in foul trouble for most of the game, like literally physically going after her. Like you said, I just thought it was a great example of them fighting back because they needed to. You can't be all-stars and have, no things happen in sports, but you have to, we're looking for the response, right? You can't have a matchup go that lopsided because it was legit one-sided before today. Obviously, today was the 3rd game. They have one more game against this team, but this has to go a long way knowing when you play the Sparks again. Your 2 can match those 2. If your 2 match those 2 in the previous 2 games, who knows how those games end. But it wasn't even that they came up short. There wasn't even a response. Like you said, it was severely one-sided. Again, I know it sounds like a broken record. Yet another game when Suge was aggressive offensively. I think it was a couple shots she didn't take late, but again, for the most part, she was really aggressive and kept their defense honest and on her heels. I know Jade ended up fouling out, but I also thought they just matched LA's physicality a lot better than they did in the first 2 games, because it looked like in the first quarter, LA was like, we're going to go with what worked the last time, play this team. We're just going to get crazy physical. And we saw Washington going like, all right, cool. We'll match your physicality, which that wasn't the case in the first 2 games. Yeah, Kiki one of the buckets she scored, I don't know if it was the first half or the third quarter. She scores in the Erica, does the too small gesture going back down court, and kept that energy up the rest of the game. And again, I think Cardell vaguely remember the numbers you said. I know it was only 4 more rebounds, but her being much more active on the glass, talk about Kiki, in this matchup went a long way in this game too. I know she only pulled down 10, but there were just as many where she kept De'Erica off the glass at times. So this time was De'Erica, I think they had 6 rebounds instead of the 12 or 13 she'd gotten in previous matchups. But you mentioned these two taking it, kind of being when they go, that's where the team goes. It's a really good showing today, for sure.
But to piggyback off what you said about being physical and matching that physicality, who on the Mystics kind of brought that energy from the opening to like, we not going. Shakira was the one, and they fed off her energy, start playing, and that's what leaders do. She the one that brought it. Like, you could try that with the youngins, but they ain't gonna work with us. You know what I mean? So, and once she played like that, that instilled confidence in them. Like, we could push back too, and then it was just on from there. They could just hoop. And sometimes you got to do that, man. Sometimes you got to stand up for your teammates because she was there. She saw what happened the last 2 games they played. You know what I mean? They try to bully the rookies because the rookies don't know no better. You know what I'm saying? But Shakira like, I'm not going. I've been in the league too long to deal with that. And the rookies are different now. They learn. So let's get to it, man. So they just fed off that energy and just kept playing, and everything followed suit, and they got the win, a big win.
Like you said, it was a huge win. We know what they're trying to chase. And again, sound like broken record again, talking about as long as they take care of their business, if things work out, around the league, it'll work in your favor. We'll see what ends up happening. But it starts with them collecting dubs. That's what's at priority for them. I know up next, they're home on Tuesday against Connecticut. We got 2 games against Connecticut this week. No disrespect to Connecticut. You need to take care of business. You need, just be honest. You need to take care of business twice this week because on the weekend, you're not playing Connecticut twice. So that's
It's real aces in the storm, man. And the Connecticut just lost the game where they was up 20-something.
Got walked down by Kelsey Mitchell.
At the crib. Yes. Kelsey Mitchell by herself. So you lose either of those games, it's like, let's get ready for next year, dog.
You lose both of those, you throw away what you just did these last 2 games. It's essentially you just threw it away.
No, let's get ready for the ride.
Get ready for it. All right, player of the game, and this one for you guys.
Go ahead, Ray.
I gotta go Sonya, man, because her offense kind of carried them as LA was kind of clawing back and trying to seize momentum in the game. Those are some big shots, man. Like Wilson, you touched on it when Hamby and Kelsey Plum started getting going. Sonya was right there to answer, and that's huge. She's not hitting those shots, then this thing can go another way. So I'll rock with Sonya tonight.
Cardell.
Yeah, the same for me. That on what Ray said. If she's not hitting shots from the perimeter, it makes it easier for the Sparks to pretty much jump Kiki and make it tough for her to score inside as well. But with her hitting shots from all over on the move, spotting up and stuff, spacing's everything. And it let Kiki have space to roam and do what she do. And you saw the numbers she put up. And when they got it clicking like that, everybody else feed off of that. And that's when they become tough to guard. And now you can pick your poison. But, it was definitely her.
Yeah, that 2-woman game with her and Kiki at times, we're seeing it evolve in the road. But, I enjoyed for as many open threes as she got, just as many times we see her coming off curls, knocking down that elbow jumper, that foul line jumper. Again, like you guys just mentioned, it was just big time performance from her in this week, matching Hamby in that second half. So, played the game without a doubt. We're on the greens. X factor this week.
Yeah, I'm going with Shakira. Like I said, she set the tone with her energy and just letting me know, none of that physical bully stuff won't fly tonight. You know what I mean? And once she said that tone, it made things more comfortable for her younger teammates, and then they just started to hoop. Sometimes impact is not in the box score. Sometimes it's the intangible stuff. Just making a stand, just making a physical stand. Like we not going. So We can play basketball, we can fight, how y'all want it. And sometimes it just got to be like that. And you saw when they didn't back down, you saw what happened to the Sparks. Now they woke back up and figured out, we got to play basketball because they're not bending. They're not going away. But by that time, it was too late, and the Mystics had the rhythm, and they had it going, and then they were able to just maintain and win the game. But definitely Shakira for that reason, and 14, 6, and 3. First game back in a minute, 18 minutes, 6 or 7 from the field. She was sharp. She was ready to go, man, and they're gonna need her to maintain this type of production if they, want to make a run for it and try to move up in the playoffs, the playoff ladder.
Right.
Yeah, it was real hard for me not to say Kiki, but I think Cardell laid it out perfectly, man. From jump, Shakira, she let it be known that this wasn't gonna go like the last 2 games, and it definitely made a difference. Like you could tell, like the way she came out aggressive and attacking, it spread throughout the whole team, and and that was the difference. That was how they were able to get that early lead. The whole team started to be aggressive, and they don't do that without her setting the tone. She was going right at Hamby, posting up, getting baskets. Even in the early going when the Mystics got the lead and the Sparks were trying to fight back, she would, get the ball face up, hard right, finish at the rim, and repeatedly, defense as well. She's just doing what she does, being a deterrent at the rim and on the glass as well. So yeah, I gotta go with Shakira for X Factor.
For all the reasons you guys listed, Cardo, just piggyback off your point. She literally was the one that said not today, and the team went with it. It was hard not to tweet several times. Like the Sparks legit had a Shakira Austin problem in the first quarter. Like they was a legit. She saw Azare bucket. She saw Hamby bucket. Saw Ken Brink bucket. They try to. They didn't really double her at times, but they just didn't have answers. She kept finding a way to turn that corner. It was late. Again, it was layup after layup after layup. And you can see it was bothering the Sparks. Like, for all the things you talked about, you went from essentially kind of punking this team physically to having someone do it back to you. You did not have an answer. So she started punking them. Next thing you know, here come Kiki. Kiki's like, all right, bet then that's what we're going to do. And none of the Sparks bigs had fun. Cam Brink damn near fouled out in like 15 minutes. Hamby was in foul trouble. Rakia Jackson got a block because she came help side, but that was after Kiki already buried her defender 4 feet underneath the basket. Like, they did not have an answer inside for those 3. And again, shout out to Shakira. And that's a hell of a way to come back. You miss a couple of games, you come back, and to decide that we're the aggressors tonight because of your performance, yeah, she deserves that without a doubt. Did you guys have anything else with this game?
Isn't that how it works with bullies? They usually don't know how to fight back when you make a stand, hit them in their mouth. They don't know how that. That's how it works, man.
Was Zebo say the boogie that time?
We bullies. We bully the bullies. Yep.
And that's the type of time she was on tonight. And it carried for 4, even when she wasn't in the game in the second half. It just didn't matter. Like you said, the team adopted it after that. It was just time. How many times did we see? This is the first time they played this year where I saw more Sparks players on the floor than Mystics players. First time that these teams been going at it this season. There was a couple times, I know Jay fouled out, but there's a couple fouls she picked up just because she was like, "You're not going to screen me." She was just throwing the screener out the way. But again, goes to that mentality that was set by Shakira early on. So, again, really good win. Great way to get into this. But we'll see what things look like Tuesday night. We got Connecticut on Tuesday, Connecticut on Thursday, I believe. And then the Aces are on one. So somebody woke up, man. I guess it's her time of year. So I don't know.
Yeah, playoff.
MVP like, type things.
She's like, I've been trying to do the team thing for too long. Fuck all that. Just give me the ball. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out the rest.
Get on my back. Let's go. We're done here. But I appreciate y'all. We'll see y'all on Tuesday night.